It's been an incredible year for Fallout 4 mods, and in the next couple of weeks I will have a recap video going over the best mods of 2019, but even just recently, modders are ending this year off extremely strong. Just a few days ago, I showed you the Horror Overhaul mod that recently released for Fallout 4. I'll have a link to that at the end of this video or in the description. As in this video, I'm going to be showing you some great mods that will really complement that one. Great tandem mods to really overhaul your Fallout 4 experience in general, or perhaps even just to start a new playthrough. There's some pretty incredible stuff in this video, mods that I will be installing now and using for probably months or years to come. If you enjoy the content or just want to see more Fallout mods, which I actually should have a lot more in the next few weeks, then you can like or subscribe. But otherwise, let's first take a look at a brand new Halo mod for Fallout 4, that with the Mjolnir Mark 5B Assault Armor. This is a tremendous mod, both in the difficulty to pronounce the name, but also in how much it's doing in Fallout 4. It's going to bring an incredible new set of armor, but with that, a ton in the way of customization and very unique features. Which, speaking of, there's no feasible way I show you everything in this video. It would take literally 20 minutes to just show you everything this mod adds in. But at its core, what it's going to do is give you a base new armor in Fallout 4. Now with the Mjolnir Mark 5 armor that did appear in Halo Reach, which of course is very timely right about now as Halo Reach just became available on PC. And if you haven't had a chance to play that yet, it is absolutely incredible. And to clarify, with this one, it's not a port of that armor to Fallout 4, it is a total comprehensive recreation of that. People diligently remodeled and retextured this for Fallout 4, and it has a very good integration. That coming in the form of a very large and wide variety of customization options that you can get with this armor. It does some of the basic stuff that many other armors do. There are two separate helmets that you can use, one of them being the traditional recon one, the other one being the more traditional and appropriate helmet for this armor. With each of those helmets, there's actually going to be several sub-customization options, so you'd have different attachments or modalities on the helmet that do make it stand out or look a little bit more unique, but also generalizing back down to the base armor, there's a wide variety of customization options with the armor itself too. There are several different backpacks or back accessories you can choose to appear on this, many of these actually being quite profound and giving it a very different look or feel. There are two shoulder pads that do come with this, and you can fully customize these also, choosing which color you want them to be, but even further, which style they are going to appear as. And some of these styles do have pros and cons, giving you different values of damage resistance, but also, since you can colorize these differently, it does give your armor a very unique look. But then of course, when you get to the base or body of this armor itself, there is a lot you could change around here. This is where the color combinations will be the most profound. You have 4 different options: torso, arm, upper leg, and lower leg color customization options. And all 4 of these can be different colors if you want a very unique or interesting look. Separately, there are also unique attachments that you can apply either to the torso of the armor itself. So if you want this armor to be kitted out in one way or another, and again, this will have different effects on the armor, but also you can choose to have different attachments on either the drop leg on either the left or right side, or the wrist of the left or right side. So all in all, when you take it all together, there is a lot you can do to customize this. Like, you could spend a good 5 to 10 minutes just customizing this one set of armor, getting that exact look you precisely want. And although there are a lot of armors that offer a lot in the way of customization, this is probably the most customizable armor I have ever used in Fallout 4. It just has so many different pieces and components, all the while fitting together pretty nice. And even if you create some wacky design, it still comes together to look good in game. Although where this really goes to the next level, where I think it all comes full circle as one of my favorite armor mods, is in that many of these have tangible benefits in game. There are several unique add-ons you can apply to all of these various armor pieces that do real things. You have special visor effects, so you'll have automatic night vision, or you could highlight enemies or allies. There are certain bonuses you could apply to the base armor to have increased or enhanced stealth, or other things like certain bonus damage to melee attacks, poisoning enemies on melee attacks because you have little needles in your hand. Many of the customization options with this are not only cosmetic, but also will apply tangible benefits, which is really cool. It makes it feel like what you're choosing or not choosing actually matters. Some of them are just cosmetic or a little bit on the silly side, but some of them aren't. And taking that all together, this really is a great and tremendous armor mod. And even further with that, this is actually just the beginning, as the mod authors described that they actually have plans for further and future updates for this one. And considering now we've already had several different Halo mods, both in the way of armors, but also in the way of incredible weapons, you could have a pretty good Halo experience in Fallout 4 right now. And if you haven't tried out some of these, you are definitely missing out. Oh, and also if you weren't totally sold yet, as you're seeing in the background, it also includes a fully functional bubble shield that does degrade over time after a certain amount of attacks. So yeah, it's pretty great. But actually coming from one of the same mod authors, we also do have the PL-14 Lebedev. I'm almost certainly butchering that, but I'm not even going to correct myself. This will add in a new pistol into Fallout 4, and it's actually a pretty cool one. It's a very modern looking take. It is a fairly compact pistol compared to some alternatives out there. It has all the staples of modern Fallout 4 weapon mods. There are several different customization options, both in the form of attachments, but also unique slide colors that do make it really stand out. There's some other mods to do that, but I feel like the way this one does it makes it feel a little bit more unique or different. It does have some pretty cool animations on it that make it fit in pretty well. Also, one notable difference, depending on which receiver you use, you could actually get a compact or regular sized variant of this weapon. It's a relatively minor change, but it is a nice attention to detail and does come with some different benefits or cons. But one other really cool aspect of this one is actually in the ammo customization. A lot of mods have different ammo types, different caliber types you could choose from, but I think the way this one handles it is one of my favorite. Depending on which ammo or caliber type you do use, it'll bring different damage levels or other stat changes, but also it does determine magazine size. So you can choose between high caliber or low caliber bullets, or some other weird combinations also, which is a cool attention to detail. I like that that was added as a feature. I hope we see other mod authors following suit. Although with all of that being said, that is large in part what it's going to do. Outside of that, it is just a fairly run-of-the-mill or typical pistol mod, but definitely a cool one, a little bit more unique than some of the other pistol mods we have already. But a great tandem piece to this pistol is the HK G3 family. This is another new weapon mod for Fallout 4, and this one is even simpler. As the title suggests, this will add in the G3 family, meaning you get the HK51 SMG, the G3 assault rifle, and finally the PSG-1 sniper rifle. All of these in reality use the same platform, so in Fallout 4 you basically have this platform and customization options to create any of these three. It definitely is a simple mod. It doesn't have a ton in the way of customization outside of what I'm just showing you, but it's actually really satisfying to use this one. I've found myself having quite a bit of fun, especially with the G3 or some of these sniper combinations you can create. It's nothing super crazy or out there, but if you were looking for a G3, which has quickly become a very iconic weapon in modern days, this is one of the better mods you have as an option for it. But then one mod that, although popular, I think is woefully underrated is Raider Gangs Extended. This is a really cool new mod for Fallout 4. You know how in Fallout 4 there are the Raiders? I mean, hopefully that's one of the most common enemies you encounter. Isn't it kind of odd how even though there's an apocalypse and a lot of dynamics between one faction or another, the Raiders are so unified? It's just literally this one body of enemies that apparently are all friends. Well, what Raider Gangs Extended is going to do is change that. Now throughout Fallout 4, you're going to 1. Find unique brands of raiders. Raiders have many locations that you're familiar with and you're used to finding them at. So occasionally at some of those locations, you're going to find a new raider boss. This is the head raider at that location, the pack leader per se. And for some of them, they actually do have unique armors, or at least named armors with some different stats. It's a small gesture, but all throughout Fallout 4's Commonwealth, you will be able to continually find these. Even further, just overall, there's going to be more raiders in general. There'll be additional hand-placed spawns, so sometimes at a certain location, you'll find some traditional raiders, but also some of these new variants, a leader as well as several of his followers or bodyguards. But then also, at other locations, you might just find an overwhelming amount of a certain raider gang. A certain type of raider that makes sense to be there, has their own little unique characteristic. Such as at Dunwich Borders, you could find several raiders with gas masks on, because they're mining. You probably want some gas masks for the big hole you're digging and not to breathe in that toxic gas. But also pretty cool with this, some of these raiders aren't super overt. You could also find what look like some Minutemen deserters. These are pretty cool and very unique, but also pretty tough. But it would make a lot of sense for a faction like this to exist in game. Some of these raiders are allied with other raiders, some aren't, and just overall what I would say this mod does is give a lot more depth to this faction. It makes them a lot more interesting. And after starting a new playthrough or even adding this to your existing one, you'll encounter some of these new and unique ones at their special and very specific locations, partly making Fallout 4 a bit tougher, but also making it so as you explore or traverse throughout Fallout 4, it's a lot more interesting. Previously, I found raiders to be fairly forgettable, just death fodder that you had to clear through to achieve a certain objective, but now, with this mod, I find myself stopping and just thinking about it a little bit more, as now they have a lot more depth and interest behind them. But then last but not least is one final mod on this list. We do have the in-game ESP Explorer maintenance. This is a relatively simple mod. It is the in-game ESP Explorer that you know and love. This has been around for a long time at this point, but the original mod author of this one got tired of updating it. So every single time Fallout 4 gets an update, and specifically Fallout 4 script extender is required to update, several of the mods that do require the script extender also must update. And the mod author behind this one originally was like, hey, I don't play the game anymore, I'm tired of updating it, but if somebody else wants to take this over, they can, and that's what we have in this mod. Functionally, it is exactly the same, still a very handy and useful tool if you're playing Fallout 4, want to test out some items. But otherwise, yeah, that is large in part going to wrap it up for this one. Barring any major surprise releases, this is likely going to be my last Fallout 4 mod video of 2019, at least covering newly released mods. I'm going to have a lot more in the way of Fallout 4 mod content, but going over some of the past and fairly epic releases, but also some things that hopefully will get you inspired to start a new playthrough. It has been an incredible year for Fallout 4 mods, and we are certainly ending on a high note. But with all that being said, I thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.